Robert Denney, a well-known marketing consultant, was very perceptive not long ago when he outlined some conclusions that he and others came to in the recession of 1994. I would just like to go through some of the conclusions that they wrote down. There was overcapacity in law firms, but it would gradually correct itself as we come out of the recession. Despite this overcapacity, some practice areas, such as intellectual property and others, would do well. Certain other practice areas were becoming commodities. Pressures from clients would lead to an alteration of the modalities of billing. Technology would have an ever-increasing role in the delivery of legal services. The public image of lawyers was being adversely affected. There was very low morale amongst lawyers. Mergers were becoming an increasingly important strategy for growth. There was a growing movement of lawyers among firms, that is, lateral movement. These were only some of the conclusions that Robert Denney and others came to in the March 1994 recession. Do any of these conclusions sound familiar in today, 2010, as a result of the troubles we've had since 2007? Of course they do. So where are we today as contrasted to 1994 and 1995? What has not changed in the mind of Robert Denney is that there is a once again overcapacity. In other words, today we have an overcapacity, the same as we had in 1994. What has not changed is that clients want more value for what they're paying. What has not changed is that equity per partner profits are down, though in today's world those profits are being adjusted by the reduction of the number of equity partners. We talked earlier in an earlier sequence about de-equitization. So if you change one area of the equation, you're obviously going to change the other. Robert Denney asked, what has changed? And I think in this case, one of his conclusions is that we rely today on more non-lawyers, such as chief executive officers, executive directors, directors of marketing, directors of information and technology, and so forth. In other words, we're bringing more professional management into the operation of a law firm. We are becoming more like the business of law, my trademark since 1995. This is an important issue of bringing in professional management to the operation and allowing lawyers to do that which only they are licensed to do, practice law. In addition, there have been some other changes, such as the globalization of law. Today, as in every other industry, law reaches beyond our oceans, beyond our borders, all across the world, from China to Europe to Africa and so forth. And even if they don't have multiple offices, many of them have the ability to connect with lawyers through networks around the world. One of the factors that impacts the globalization concept is the idea of outsourcing. But today, outsourcing has a reverse element to it. When we thought about outsourcing before, we thought about actually sending our work out to India, to China, to the Philippines. In today's world, because of the economics that we're facing in our own country, what's happening is we're able to outsource to other parts of our own country. For example, the Midwest. We can send work to perhaps North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, other places that can get the same work done quickly at far less cost than would result in a firm doing the same work in New York or California or Florida or Massachusetts or elsewhere in the country. And since we're on a different time zone anyway, we also benefit from that factor, which was a major component of transferring work from, say, New York to India. So all of these factors come into play in today's economics. And as I said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. However, perhaps today, in 2010, as contrasted with 1994, we will learn a little bit more. Perhaps we are moving a little bit more quickly along the evolutionary line toward change. But I don't think it's a revolutionary line, as some would suggest. Thanks for joining us today.